welcome to another edition of
Lab Rats.
You know what, I wait to do this all the time. So Sean, today you're going to open the show. Ready? Go!
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats, your favorite podcast about technology where we help you demystify things with a little bit of humor and a little bit of cheese.
You're really good at that. I think you're going to do that all the time.
Did I pass?
Except you forgot one thing. Who am I?
Who cares?
I'm Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, we are going to... Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
Very nice
Thank
job.
you so much.
You might be able to do that more often. Today on the show, we are going to do a topic which is sort of, I think, a top of mind for a lot of people who use the internet, but it doesn't, not necessarily just all about computers and about technology. No. It's the topic of identity theft. Scary.
Someone stole your identity?
Somebody can steal your identity and be you when you're not around.
I'm making light of it, but it's actually a fairly serious topic.
It is. It's actually one of the largest growing white crime collar. See, I can't even speak. I'm so desperately nervous about it.
Do you want me to do that part too?
Okay, do it.
It's one of the growing white-collar crimes, the fastest growing white-collar crimes that's out there.
Thank you very much. See, he's so handy to have around. And, you know, it's become a real problem. And I would bet you that if you haven't been affected already, somebody you know has. Mm-hmm. So today we're going to cover off identity theft and how it could impact you on your computer, as well as outside in the real world, in the paper world. Mm-hmm. But first...
Oh, and what you can do to stop it.
And what you can do to stop it as well.
That's the important part.
We have some fun gadgets as well. So, but first, of course, we're going to need to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to demystify identity theft in the real world and in the digital world as well, after this. All right, so very important topic today. We should be very serious, right? No jokes. No jokes today at all. All right. Can't keep a straight face on the show.
No, you got to add a little bit of humor to this.
I know.
A little spoonful of sugar and all that.
That's right, exactly. Because it's kind of scary.
It is scary. Okay,
identity theft. What? So let's define it. I think it's probably the best place to start. What is identity theft, Sean?
Well, identity theft is when someone... It's a little bit of a misnomer because someone isn't taking your identity. You'll always still have your identity. It's more like identity borrowing. So what happens is someone pretends to be you for some nefarious purpose. They can do this online, they can do this offline, but essentially they pretend to be you for a little bit to get a credit card, to get a mortgage, to essentially be you so they don't have to take responsibility for their actions. It's a scam, basically. They can profit very handily from becoming you for a little bit,
yeah, right.
Especially if you have good credit.
That's right, exactly. Very good. And so there's two kinds of identity theft in the world, which we're going to kind of cover here. So first of all, the online identity theft, right? So it's when you're on the computer and you are giving information out. There could be the potential that somebody could capture that somehow and start to gather a portfolio of information about you so they can represent themselves to credit, like creditors or something along those lines, to develop this credit portfolio so they can apply for Visa cards or they could apply for a mortgage with your data information. Now the way they do that is a couple different ways, but it's basically, again, as Sean said, some trickery. They're going to gather information without you really knowing it, and there's something called phishing. We'll get into that a little bit later and explain what that is and how to prevent that.
Yeah, the scary thing about this is you don't need a lot of information to get started on this. You can actually get started with nothing more than a name and an address.
That's right.
And we'll explain the implications of that a little bit later on.
Right.
But yeah, you can take that and start snowballing it. The biggest problem here is social engineering. The person at the other end, if they got a bit of charisma, they can take even a tiny little sliver of information and, as you say, build an entire portfolio so that to anyone that knows you, they could probably even pretend to be you if it wasn't for the person recognizing your voice.
Right. So they could start that information gathering process through trickery on the computer by you inputting data into a website. Or what they could do is actually do it in the real, what we call in the paper world, where they gather that information from your mail, for example, or from where your information exists out there on a database somewhere, or perhaps and documentation that they get their hands on, right? So I think perhaps we should start with. Do you want to start with the digital concepts? Well, what is phishing?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of us will be most familiar with at this point.
Right.
Is the online scams.
Right. Very good. Okay. So here's the idea, right? Is when you interact with the internet, most of the time there's going to be a request for your name, for your email address, And then, when you register for sites, potentially your phone number, your street address, and all kinds of other data, right, like there. Now, most of the time we know we're going to go to a website like a bank, we're going to fill it in, we know it's the bank's website, and we're going to submit our information that way. But there is an increasing mechanism that bad guys use called phishing. Now, phishing with a PH, phishing, right? And what phishing is basically, it's almost what it sounds like. It's an electronic, I'm going to cast my line out there, and I'm going to try to reel your information in, just like that. So here's how it works. What phishing does is people use the spam mechanism. They send out spam email to as many people as possible to try to trick you into thinking that you're dealing with your bank, with your financial institution. What they say is something along the lines of, hey, you know what? There's been a problem at the bank. They use the bank logo, of course. We want you to come onto this website and verify your password, verify your information, and that sort of thing. And then what happens right after that is when you go to that website, because you think you're going to use your Bank of America or the Toronto Dominion Bank, whatever bank you deal with in the world, you fill out the information, and all of a sudden it's captured, and it's actually sent off to a bad guy. Now, what they do is they create a link that looks like it's your bank. So yourbank.com. When you click on it, you go to badguy.com somewhere in Russia or Poland, or actually in some cases the United States.
Yeah, no, they're making use of one of the features that is known to web developers in HTML. You don't have to know how this works, but essentially when you click a link on any web page, you can have it say one thing, like click here, and then you click here, but underneath here it gives you the actual address.
Yeah, and let me show you actually, because I have a sample email here. This phishing person here is actually using an eBay alert as the bait this time, right? So if you look here, so I'm actually here on the email itself, and I'm going to roll my mouse over here onto the link. So it says view the dispute thread to respond, right? They want you to click on that and go and fill out your information. Well, as you can see, the URL here is actually a numerical address. It's got nothing to do with eBay, right? It's actually a cloned web server that's sitting somewhere else in the world. Now I'm actually going to take the hyperlink here. I'm going to copy it. No harm in doing that. And what's dangerous is I'm going to open up Internet Explorer, and I'm going to cut and paste it.
Don't do it. It's a trap.
I'm going to cut and
It's
paste
a trap.
Now if I hit enter, the website's going to come up. Kind of looks like eBay. Looks like your eBay login. Notice there's a user ID and password. As soon as you fill out that information, they then have a user ID and login, and they're going to go and get all your personal information by logging onto real eBay to get that data. Now,
or worse yet, they can start causing scams there by putting things up for sale.
That's right, exactly. That's the other scary thing. So using your identity for their gain. Now, here's now in this particular case, I've turned the anti-phishing mechanisms off on the actual Internet Explorer 7, or on in your case if you're using Mozilla Firefox, turn it off there as well. But let me just show you what happens. I'm going to go into Tools here in Internet Explorer 7. This exists in all the versions. If you go to Tools, Phishing Filter, and you're going to say, I'm going to turn off. So I'm going to turn on the phishing filter. I'm going to say, turn on automatic phishing filter. Click OK. All right. So now what's happened is you'll see the address bar went yellow for a second. I'm going to put the dangerous URL back in again. So what you see is a box that says suspicious website. This might be a phishing website. So this is built into Internet Explorer 7. There is also a similar mechanism built into Firefox as well. Now, one of the things I did want to show is that there is a little tool that we quite like called Netcraft. And I think actually Cheryl's going to show off how that works a little later. It's a little plugin for your browser that will actually alert you as well to phishing websites and that sort of thing. So quite
Very good.
So there you go. So that's the basis of phishing, and that's how most people are going to scam you if they're going to collect your information for identity theft purposes. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Should we move on to the real world now, the paper world?
The paper world. People think about this as being an online phenomenon, and it is by no means an online phenomenon. It's just that being online has made it a whole lot easier to accomplish this now, because all you are now is one click away from giving up all of your data. But in the real world, identity theft is as simple as a piece of mail. So what you need is having this piece of email. You've got the address on here. You've got an account number potentially if this is a bank statement. You've got a whole pile more information depending on what type of mail there is. Or it could be as simple as giving your credit card out in a restaurant. When you give that card out, the number's out there. The stripe on the back of your card is out there, so someone can actually clone this card by swiping it through a reader that will save the information. All of this real-world stuff is possible. It's not simply online.
I would actually even assert that you're going to see the paper identity theft happen more frequently
Yes.
than the online world. The online world takes a certain amount of sophistication from the bad guys, right? Whereas the online world, all they've got to do is steal a piece of paper,
Yeah.
right? So, and in fact, they can do that out of your mailbox or
Out
a
of
restaurant, or even, often these jobs are insider jobs, right? So somebody's working at a bank, or somebody's working at a place where they gather your information. And so what's happening is they're just going through the company records, stealing the information. You just never know, that you've actually been ripped off at this point, and perhaps you never will.
Yeah.
All right, so
The other place they can get this from, not just your mail or your bank or a restaurant, for example, they can get it out of your trash. So what do you do when you have something you don't want anymore, like your bank statement?
Right.
Well, most people just toss it out in the trash,
right, exactly. But
but not a great idea.
all right,
I just realized I needed that.
yeah, you did. Well, I'll go get it for you while you explain what gadgets do you actually need.
Well, there's a couple of things that you can do to protect yourself. I know you have one, and I've got one here too, first of all. Now, we've actually had a problem recently with people stealing our mail at our house.
You've actually been almost a victim of this, right?
Yeah, now I'm not sure whether someone has actually started the process of identity theft on us, but they've stolen a bank statement, like a credit card statement out of our thing. They've stolen a magazine, which I'm not so worried about, although even that has our name and address on it.
Right.
So one of the ways that you can deal with this is a lockable mailbox.
Ah, very cool.
Now, people that live in new developments that have the big super boxes don't have to worry about this so much, but if you've got an old school mailbox on the front of your house, there's
Yep.
nothing preventing anyone from walking down the street, coming up to your front door, reaching into your mailbox and pulling out your mail.
Right. So you
Right?
take your bank statement, you take your phone bill, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Right?
And by the time you get home after work and you come home and pull your mail out of there, you don't know that they're there. You don't know that your mail had even arrived.
Right.
So with something like this, you've got your mail, mailman comes up to it, puts it in the slot, down there, and now you can't get at it.
Right. Got it.
But you, as the person who owns a mailbox, can just come back home, put this in, stick the key in the right way, turn this, and guess what? Now I can get my mail. If you can get it around the slot. Now,
Right.
downside, of course, it's depending on the mailbox, it's a little bit small. You can't necessarily fit a magazine in here. You have a magazine? No, we don't. But it's a little bit too big or too small for something like that. So it's not an ideal solution, but if the majority of what you get is just paper mail like this,
Yeah.
then you're set.
Very good. Very good. And I have a fun gadget too. So let's say, okay, you're going to get your bills in the mail, right? And what you do is you go, oh, this is my bank statement. Huh, interesting. Okay, tear it up, chuck it in the garbage. Well, you know what? A bad guy can come along and go through the garbage, and then often they do, right? Reassemble that, and now they have your information. So
Yeah.
here's what you want to do, especially with like really important documents that have a lot of personal information on them. You want to get yourself a shredder. This is actually what's called a cross-cut shredder,
Yeah,
right?
there's several different types of
There it
these.
is. So some of them will actually cut your documents into strips. Not necessarily ideal, because of course, somebody can actually sit there if they were really determined and actually reassemble the strips, right?
It's a lot of work, but the reward they can get out of reassembling it could be very useful.
That's right. So what you want to do is you want to get a device like this is a cross-cut shredder, and we're going to plug it in. Of course, it is powered, right? So it's basically a waste paper bin with a cutter in the top. And what you're going to do is go ahead.
I hope you didn't need that statement.
Yeah. Oh no, is that my bank statement?
I think it might have been.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. Anyway, so let's just turn it off for a second so we don't cut ourselves. Now I'm going to open this up and I'll show you what's underneath here. So if you look in here, you can actually see a little hatch, and it's got all the blades in there, right? So what that does is actually slices and dices the piece of paper.
Actually, you can see what's left of it right here. Not a whole lot.
There you go. See? Confetti! Congratulations!
Yeah, so this is very good. The crosscut is very important just because it makes it a lot harder to reassemble it after you're done with it.
But look what it actually diminishes into little pieces like that, right? So there's just no way that anybody's going to reassemble that, especially if that ends up in your garbage can. So that's a really great way. Now, of course, don't shred things before you finish with them. And be careful when you open your mail so that if you're getting checks in the mail, for example, you don't go, oh yeah, that's the end of your checks, right? Not a good idea. Trust me, I have almost done that before. So a couple of things about the shredders that you're going to want to consider. One is make sure it's a cross-cut and not strip cutter, right? Number two, if you know, there's low duty, like light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty. So if you get, so business is going to want a sort of medium to a heavier duty. This one is designed for like 25 cuts per day with up to 5 sheets at a time, right?
This one right here is a bit fickle.
It is a bit fickle. This one cost me $30. I think at Office Depot or Staples or one of those chains there. But you know, $30, and suddenly I am now protecting myself way more than I have previously, you know, with identity theft. So yeah. Be done now. We fixed it. Okay, good. All right. So there's two solutions. Lock them up. Hey, 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 hey!
There you go. More on security yourself and the ABS Begin Guide to Security, Spam, Spyware, and Viruses. Author unknown. Oh, Andy Walker. We can fix that.
Hey! Here's the good news. You're such a jerk. You are such a jerk. This is my new book, though. It's called Windows Lockdown. Similar to that one, except it's got now Vista. Windows Lockdown, your absolute. Actually, it's not your absolute. It's your XP and Vista guide against hacks, attacks, and other internet mayhem. So,
This book will never hurt anyone again.
thanks. Anyways, buy this one instead. That's kind of done. It's not available anymore. All right. Thank you, Sean.
My pleasure.
Okay. All right. So let's take a break.
How you feeling?
Sad. Anyway, when we come back, Ms. Cheryl Poirier, Ms. Download, is going to show us a new, well, not a new, but a very cool and free anti-phishing toolbar mechanism for your browser. So check that out. And I guess we have picture time.
Mm-hmm. This confetti is bookerific.
Back after this. Now we joke, but this is actually a really serious issue, and you know, you should know that actually 3 of the 4 people in this room right now have experienced ID theft in some form or another. You know, I've had my credit cards cloned and have illicit charges shown up on that. That's sort of the quick hit identity theft. Mm-hmm. The larger issues are, you know, actually somebody would steal your identity and actually apply for credit in your name and let it actually fester, pay things off on a regular basis, build the credit portfolio, and then actually, you know, apply for a mortgage and run away with that or something along those lines. So.
Actually, I believe our producer and cameraman Matt has gone through this as well.
He does, yeah.
What happened to you, Matt?
Someone grabbed my birth date, my SIN number, and got a mobile phone in my name and ran the charges up $700.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah, it's not as big as taking out a mortgage in your house, but you know, it still affects your credit, and that could prevent you from getting the mortgage down the road.
That's right. So one of the ways you can actually prevent, or at least be on guard around identity theft, is to actually watch your credit rating on an ongoing basis. Mm-hmm. And so in my new book, Windows Lockdown, I actually have a whole chapter on this, right? So I'm gonna, no.
You don't want that one shredded too?
Because this is free. I'm giving this away. You don't have to buy the book. They're just gonna, it's in the book. So in the States, check, there's 2 credit bureaus, Equifax and Experian, and you can check those out. They are both tracking credit ratings, and so you can actually get a free credit report from them. Or you can pay online and get one automatically. I think you do free by mail. Mm-hmm. Anyway, in Canada, it's Equifax and TransUnion. In the UK, if you're there, Experian, Call Credit, and Equifax. Mm-hmm. And in Australia, Veda Veda Advantage and Dun & Bradstreet. Mm-hmm. So those are, real quick, that's the types of agencies you want to go to check, to watch, to see if there's been any illicit charges.
Yeah. We'll put those in the show notes too.
We will put in the show notes, exactly. Or you can buy my book.
Or you can buy his book.
Chapter 5. We talk all about.
I'm going to get the shredder out in a second.
No, easy. Okay. All right. So as promised, let's go and we take a quick break and.
No, we've done our break.
No. But I want to go. We're going to take a break.
Oh, we're going to break.
And Cheryl Poirier is going to take over because she has a download of the day.
We get the break.
We get the break.
Can I have a break?
No, you can't have a break. Hey! All right, so coming up next, Miss Download with your download of the day, and we'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to Miss Download. Today I'm going to talk to you about Netcraft, which is a browser plugin for your security. It works in either Firefox or IE, and this is what it looks like. You'll get a toolbar, a Netcraft toolbar. It has a general, menu, services, risk ranking, and site reports and where the site is from. Now I am right now in my Hotmail account, and I know that this site is safe because it's from the US and it's from Microsoft Corp. However, if I were to open, say, a phishing email, here we go. See, the first thing it does is Netcraft will pop up and say, could be fraudulent. Do you really want to open it? For the purposes of today, we're going to say yes, and it's going to open up, and Example Bank wants me to verify my account. Now, I know that my bank is in Canada. This is from the UK, and it's Rackspace managed hosting, but my bank is Canada Trust, and oh look, it's in Canada and it's Toronto Dominion Bank. So I know that this is fraudulent. A couple of things you can do, actually. One thing that they request that you do is report a phishing site. Report a phishing site. Or you can also report an incorrectly blocked URL, which sometimes happens as well. So this actually great toolbar and download for your security. It helps to protect you and fraudulent attacks on you. So check it out, netcraft.com. You can download it from there. And thanks for watching. I'm Cheryl, and I'll see you again on Miss Download.
It's picture time. It's picture time. It's picture time.
It is picture time.
For your pictures. And actually, I had a little idea, so let me tell you about that. A little contest idea coming up.
Really?
First pictures.
Cool.
What do we got? Who do we got? Where do we got?
We asked our viewers a while back to show us their TVs.
Right.
And our viewer Jack in Colorado decided to show us his old school
I
television.
was going to say, is this Fred Flintstone's television?
No, but it's almost that old. But you know what? It still works.
Does it?
It still works, and he likes it. So he watches us on this old TV.
Very environmentally responsible.
Right, and Jack also has another low-tech solution to one of his problems.
Uh-huh.
You know how laptops get really hot when they're sitting in your lap?
Uh-huh.
Jack uses a pizza box. You know, a bit of air in between. It's nice padding between there. And the only problem is, you know, when your laptop heats up, your lap is going to start to smell like pizza, potentially.
Not necessarily a bad thing, though.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, if you really like pizza, it might make you more hungry than you should be.
Brilliant, Jack. Brilliant.
There you go.
Love
So
it. That's great.
low-tech solutions are always a good idea.
Absolutely. Very good.
Why spend $40 on something if you don't have to?
know.
Now, this is our viewer Joe,
Uh-huh.
who's doing a little bit of recursion here with his pal Domo-kun. And if you can go into the picture and even further into the picture and then even further.
Wow. Very good.
There you go.
Super dude.
A little bit of editing and trickery.
Very
I
good.
like it. And last, this is
Which
from our
one's
viewer
Sean? Which one's
Chris.
Andy? Which one's Cheryl?
I don't know.
The pretty one is Cheryl.
And the one that's right up front, trying to get in your face, that's Andy.
Yeah, it would be.
I'm the one hiding in the background.
That's right. Exactly.
But anyways, this is from our viewer Chris in Winnipeg.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Chris.
Good job. Now I have a little idea. You know, in light of today's sad event where we mourn the passing of the absolute beginner's guide to security, spam, spyware, and viruses.
That's still readable for now. Maybe not by the end of the episode.
So I tell you what.
How many pages does this thing do?
Hey, easy. We have to get. So here's the thing. No, go away. Here's the thing: is I will send you this, the broken one, and my new book, Windows Lockdown: Your XP and Vista Guide Against Hacks, Attacks, and Other Internet Mayhem, another Sean Mayhem. For easy, the best picture of what?
The best picture of, I'd say, yeah, picture and or story of your own personal ID theft prevention mechanism.
Right,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so how do you shred your documents? How do you prevent ID theft on your computer? Be creative. Go in and take a picture of it, okay? And then we'll pick one on a future show and we'll send you a copy of my book, Windows Lockdown: Your XP and Vista Guide Against Hacks, Attacks, and Internet Mayhem.
Do they get extra points if they show themselves shredding a copy of your
No,
other books?
you will not win if you shred my other books.
That's too bad.
This one actually smells vaguely of Biff's pee, I think. I think he peed in the box. Anyway.
That's great. That's super. More incentive to enter this contest.
All right, that's it for us. Thank you so much for downloading this week or for pushing play. My name's Andy Walker.
And I'm also Andy Walker.
And you're not.
I am now.
Oh, no. We'll see you next time. See ya.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
So there's two solutions. Lock them up. Hey, hey!